But I do want to bring in now Rina Ameri. She joins us. She is a policy and mediation advisor at NYU's Center for International Cooperation, also a senior fellow at the NYU Center for Global Affairs. She has worked to settle conflicts in several countries, including her native country of Afghanistan. First of all, your overall reaction to what you have been witnessing over the past week since the Taliban has taken over your mother country, and now these explosions taking place. What's going through your mind? And also, have you been able to talk to anybody that you are close to or related to, Amira, there inside Afghanistan?
Thank you very much, Kira. Yes, it's been devastating. I have to confess, I'm reeling. Everyone that I know is just reeling from this ongoing and preventable devastation. Today, yes, I've been on the phone with friends in Afghanistan and also on social media, people panicking because their family members were outside in that airport area, and they are just devastated and very, very worried. I'm also very worried about, because we all know somebody who's at the airport, and the Taliban military takeover, coupled with the administration's commitment that to the August 31st deadline, has created this level of panic where everyone feels that they have to be at the airport. They were told, in fact, that today was going to be the last day of movement. The August 31st deadline would be for breaking down the equipment, but today would be the last day. So 10,000 people were at the airport today. And I've heard that there's at least, there's conflicting report, but at least 13 people killed, including children.
So, Rina, you have friends and family there. You have been talking to them. What have they been telling you with regard to this timeline and how desperate they have been to get? Why have they wanted to leave? Give us a sense for what they've been telling you about what it's been like and their fears since the Taliban has taken over the country.
They have been deeply conflicted because no one likes to leave their homeland. And they're leaving with just a little bag. They're not allowed to bring anything except a bag of food and water to last them for 3 days, which is often how long people end up being at the airport. But at the same time, they're very worried for their family. All of these people that are leaving, that at least that I'm speaking to, have been intimidated within the last the last 2 weeks. And suddenly they are not only facing current trauma, but they know what it was like during the period of the Taliban, and they don't want that for their children. They've been camping out. I know people who have been sitting in these atrocious conditions they run out of food, they run out of water, they run out of diapers, and they're still there with their families. And these people used to have normal lives. They used to be like you and me a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and suddenly their entire world has been turned upside down.
From what you know, from what you've experienced, looking forward, what does the future of Afghanistan look like to you?
Well, in the immediate sense, I'm going to tell you what I hope is going to happen. I hope that the Taliban and the administration will, the U.S. will restore order and enable people to leave. I hope that it won't be, Secretary Blinken was reassuring people that Afghans and Americans will be able to leave after the evacuation. The Taliban need to go on Afghan TV and say, we will let you leave and we will keep our commitments. We will allow monitors to come in and allow you to leave. The neighboring countries have to open up their borders. The UN and the humanitarian organizations have to step forward. All of that can enormously reduce the level of anxiety in the country. And of the Taliban, what they've been saying is, we don't want you to leave. We need you in order to help build the country. And my appeal to the Taliban is, do everything in your power to not frighten people, because these are traumatized and frightened people. They had hoped for a better Taliban. They have not seen that materialize. If they want to keep these people who do want to be in their homeland to stay, then they need to honor their commitments, and the international community has to hold them accountable to that.
You advised the Obama White House. You have worked with the Taliban. Looking at what has happened, what does this tell you about the Taliban? Did they allow this to happen? Are they just not able to prevent something like this to happen. What is your sense? What is your gut on what this tells us about the new Taliban, if indeed this is truly a new Taliban?
I think it tells me two things. One is it's very unclear the Taliban relationship with other extremist groups in the country. We do not know. And I don't think it's very clear-cut about where IS is and where the Taliban is, or where there's collusion among, maybe not at the leadership level, but among the forces. We do not have that information in order to be able to say affirmatively what those dynamics are. Second, we knew that the Taliban did not have the capacity to govern. They could take over regions, they could not hold it. And we're seeing a reflection of that they can't govern. And we're just talking about the airport. That the fact that they're not even able to manage the airport, manage their forces, send consistent messages to their forces. It's all very worrisome, because the international community and the region right now has come to the conclusion that the Taliban will take is going to govern Afghanistan. I think we're far from there. I think what it requires is for the region and the international community to mobilize to ensure that the country does not fall apart. One is the draconian measure of the Taliban that we have to manage and ensure that they protect the gains achieved, or let's dial it back, just to protect the rights of Afghans. And two, to prevent the country from falling apart, having civil war, another vacuum in which terrorism can step into, and a region where you have 4 nuclear weapons. This is not a light issue. The conflict and instability in Afghanistan is not something you can put a pot over and walk away from. It will have an impact on the region and beyond, and end up on our doorstep again.
And you have worked with the Taliban. How does the Taliban view ISIS, even more specifically ISIS-K, the new al-Qaeda, if you will?
I've engaged the Taliban. I have not worked with them. And, there's certainly an element of rivalry between the two groups, but there has also been cooperation between the groups in the past. The difference between Afghanistan and Somalia and other places where there's jihadists it's seen as sort of almost a symbolic sanctuary because of the 1980s, because of al-Qaeda. And there's a drawing to the region and a wanting to take over this region by jihadi elements. There's at least 50 different groups that are vying for space in this area. And there's been, there is not rigid distinctions between these groups. There is a flowing back and forth sometimes. There's a changing of hats. There's a lack of clarity. And that's what really worries me about this situation, because there has been this tremendous good faith on the part of the U.S. and the international community that they can hand things over to the Taliban and the Taliban will be able to manage this. That is a big assumption, because what we've seen in terms of the Taliban's capacity to govern, and its inability to actually break from al-Qaeda. It never did that, despite the fact that there was an agreement. The U.S.-Taliban agreement obliged them to that, and they didn't do it. And so all of that leaves me very, very concerned that in the tremendous war fatigue and everyone wanting to leave Afghanistan, that what we are leaving behind is a very, very unstable situation that will not even lead to an enormous humanitarian catastrophe that's unfolding before our eyes, but it's going to have grave security implications for Afghanistan, for the region, and more broadly for the international community and the U.S.
Rina Amira, really appreciate your insight. Thank you so much. We will continue to look forward, obviously, with you and the future of Afghanistan and the women and the children and just life within that country. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.